I feel like I fall in love with every guest that we have on the
Mhm.
show because people are just so interesting. And then when I watch it back and I'm cutting bits out and editing, just like, fuck this.
Yeah, yeah. Like I have to try and find the preview clips to kind of get people in and like
Yeah,
post them on socials and stuff. And I'm like going through. I'm like, okay, well, this is 20 seconds. I'm like, but they're also making a really good point in the next 20 sec. Can I extend it to like a minute? And like, oh, but they also make another really good point. God damn it. It just gets bigger and
yeah.
bigger until it's like 5 minutes. I'm like, it may as well just be a video on its own.
And Johnny Carson never edited his own stuff. Other people did that for him.
I mean, if you're ready to go, if you go drink and
Yeah, I got my green stuff. That's good.
green stuff.
Yeah, it's a soda stream and it's like a lime squirt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I was
Uh,
assuming like green tea or some sort of Mountain Dew at that point, but yeah.
it kind of tastes like an energy drink. What's a like a Powerade or something?
Okay,
It's got that chemically flavor. I'm not sure I like it, but I need to use it up because I paid for it.
that's the best way. It's like when you get some like bread or cereal, and you're like, I'm really resentful about eating this, but I'm not
But
throwing it away.
yeah, yeah, that cost me good money.
They're like, all right, then. Well, I mean, if you're good to go, we'll dive right in. We've already basically started because
All
I'm
right.
crafty and I already start recording. So welcome to Young at Concrete Podcast, Ryan.
Well, thank you for having me. I've seen this a few times. I watched the one with Craig, my good friend there. I watched the one with Crash, who I think is very incredible, and I've been looking forward to this for a while.
Definitely, yeah. I think you've been on my radar, like because we have like friends of friends sort of thing, and you're like
Yeah.
on the list of. I have like a big list of people to contact and reach out to. And yeah, you've been on there. I was like, oh, maybe this is the time. Maybe this
But
is.
also, I've been like watching and I see the guests and I'm like, oh, I'd like to be on that. Oh, I'd like to be on that. But also, I'm not the type of person who's going to be like, hey, so you want me? It's like I'm sitting here like waiting to be the prettiest girl at the dance, just waiting for someone to ask me to dance. And my time finally came.
Definitely, definitely. Okay, so I have mixed up the format this year, right? So you're
All right.
actually the first person I'm speaking to in 2023, even though we're still in 2022, right? So I realized that the worst parts of my show are the intro and the end,
Okay.
on my personal opinion, right? So I've got boilerplate intro questions
Okay.
and one question to leave on. The rest of it will be as normal as you expect.
Sounds good.
Okay, so first off, who are you?
Oh wow, that's who am I not sometimes? Well, my name is Ryan. Zine making single dad. Very different worlds sometimes that hardly cross lines, which is sometimes they do, which is neat and fun. I have been making zines since 1998, but I've been doing Pocket Thoughts since 2018. Pocket Thoughts is my main zine, you know, outlet. Before Pocket Thoughts, I took about 10 years off from making zines. I was doing, online blogging and websiting and stuff like that. And I missed that physical feel. And I like the constraints that zines have.
Right?
Like you've only got so much space on the page and only so many pages, whereas, a blog can go on and on and on and on infinitely if you want. So I got back into it. So that's who I am. I am a Leo, born in August. I'm getting up there in age. Um, what else is there about me? Jeez.
I don't know.
Uh,
So I'm curious. So you like Pocket Laws is how I obviously know you mostly because that is
yeah.
like I mean, how many issues are you up to now?
I'm currently working on issue 23 and 24 at the same time. I'm doing two different zines at the same time, which is a different process for me. Normally it's one thing, but I've got two different ideas. One is usually Pocket Thoughts is 16 pages of what I call randomonium. So every page is its own sort of idea and theme. Like for instance, this was the last one that came out, and every page is something different. Like from one spot, you're getting jokes or rants or poetry or you never know what you're going to get from page to page. And occasionally I'll do one that's a very themed issue, like my most popular one that when I die, people are going to be like, oh, he was the 11 teen guy. Pocket Thoughts number 11 was called 11 Teen, and it was a satire of like trashy women's magazines like 17 Magazine and Cosmo and stuff like that. So it was a very focused
Right.
zine. So when I wanted to do these two different zines, and I knew number 24 was going to be a focused theme, and number 23 was going to be the usual randomonium, I was like, well, I'll see if I can do them both at the same time and see what that does to me mentally. But I do other zines under the Pocket Thoughts name. It's not part of the regular series. Overall, I'd say since 2018, I've done about a little over 60.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, I found Pocket Thoughts interesting because it was like, so Null Point, which is obviously my zine series, which I run on a long-term basis. It's not very often you find a zine series which has gone to the lengths that ours have.
Right.
Like, nearly 30 issues. Like, a lot of them cap out around 10, 5 issues. Someone finds something else they want to do. They get bored, they run out of paper. It's, whatever the reason. So I found it really interesting you were still going. I was like, this is.
Well, I think a lot of people get discouraged early when they make something and it's good. Like every zine that gets sent my way, I find really interesting because people send me zines all the time too, and they'll send me their first and second zines, and then oh, nobody read it, nobody liked it, but you got to keep at it is the thing. Even when Pocket Thoughts started, I think I made 2 or 3 zines right away, just so boom, I would have a few. And in 6 months, maybe 20 people read them, right? Like hardly anything. But now I think I'm shipping out 10, 20 zines a week, 30 zines a week. And so you just gotta keep at it, really, and
Yeah.
find the people, find your audience, right? Find who's reading and enjoying. And
yeah, I guess it depends as well why you're making it. Like I guess with No Point, I managed to keep it going because it was very much concept led, and I'm a bit of a glutton for punishment. So it became one of these things of like I won't let it die, even if no one's reading it. I'm just never letting it die. I'll be buried with it, and it'll be one of those things. And I think when I started, it was along those lines of like I want to just outlast everything.
yeah. Well, and I like the creative process so much. Again, with every page being different, sometimes it's trying a different art style or a different creative style. One may be a black and white comic page, and then the next page is I'm experimenting in calligraphy and collage just to see if I can do it. You know what I mean? To try something new and to test myself and push my own boundaries. But also to throw something against the wall and see what sticks. When I got back into zines, it was just for the love of wanting to make and create and put ideas out there and put thoughts out there. And, if people like them, they like them. If they don't, they don't. And I used to take a lot of flack years and years ago from people when I would show zines and give away zines all the time back in the old days of like, oh, you give this away, you never make any money at it, and all this. Why do you do it? Well, because I love to do it. So I made myself a promise when I started Pocket Thoughts, is that as long as every issue turned a profit of at least $1 overall, I'd keep making it, right? Okay. So that no one can ever tell me that it's a financial burden on me.
I mean, I understand. I get that question a lot because No Point is basically free. It's if I'm at a zine fair, it's free. I don't charge anything for it. There's not even like a pay as you feel. They're free. Yeah. They're meant to be free. And when I sell them online, I sell them for postage. Cool. And that's all I charge for. And I've literally had people email me and say, "You're losing money on this," and my answer to them is, "I know. That's the intention." Like it's I went to a zine fair and someone had he'd got it was someone who was selling. I mean, it was one of these things which kind of irritates me when they're selling like proper books at a zine fair, and they were like $30 a book. It was like proper published thing. It was something they would do. It was a very nice book, but he was just like, oh, but you've printed like 100 of these and you're giving them away for free. Surely this costs you money. I was like, yeah, but it costs me like $30 to print 100. and I spend that on booze when I go to a bar. So it's just like a night out, but this time I'm getting, to create, spread the word, get people involved because it's completely anonymous and people can submit to it. So why would you get different enjoyment out of that? Like, the intention was never to make money. So
Yeah. And that brings up a point that I hear a lot from different zine creators of like, what is a zine and what constitutes a zine, right? Um, and those $30 professionally printed and bound books. I mean, I don't really consider that a zine. If it's got an ISBN number on it, and
yeah,
a barcode, unless it's a fake barcode that you're doing to be ironic or something. If it's got a barcode on it, it's probably not a zine. But I've seen debates of like digital zines, are they really zines versus traditional zines? And I personally lean more towards the traditional paper type, but I'm not going to discount a digital zine because who am I to say what is and isn't? Because to me, zines are supposed to be inexpensive to create, inexpensive to enjoy,
mm-hmm.
and accessible by just about anybody really. Like, and that's why they should be inexpensive to create and to get.
Yeah, definitely. I stand by the rule of if it's got an ISBN number or it's got advertising in it, and the advertising isn't zine related or at least DIY culture related, there's no
Yeah,
zine. Like, as soon as you start getting, Starbucks or something pop up in your magazine, you're like, this isn't a zine.
yeah.
You've gone too far. You stepped off the edge, and it was, not right for you. Move back. Yeah. Okay. I like that. We gathered into the who you are, as it were, for the day.
All right.
All right. Next question. How did you sleep?
How do I sleep, or how
No.
did I
How
sleep?
did you sleep? Yeah, last night.
Um, the best I've slept all week.
Okay.
I've been battling something all week long. I've been actually afraid that I'm going to lose my voice tonight. Earlier in the week, my voice would be cutting in and out on me, and so hence why I've got liquids with me to constantly drink. Yeah, I slept really well last night actually. Uh, yeah, I sleep on my side mostly with
I
my
do that.
arms. I'm in a king size bed all by myself, and my cat stretches out and takes up most of it. But I tend to stretch out with my arms like this on my side, and it's great. And it goes over my head like this. Sometimes I sleep a lot like this, and
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the old wrestling move, the sleeper hold, where you put your hand and like this. And I feel like every night I kind of give myself half a sleeper hold to put myself to sleep better.
I got told that I sleep on my face, but I also sleep on my side. So I basically just lay on my side and then bury my face into the pillow.
Oh yeah.
But I also found out, like, I only found out maybe like 6 months ago that I sit when I sit on on a couch. I sit with my head at like a right angle, so like
Oh
like my neck's there, and then my head just leans forward. And I was like,
yeah.
"This is comfortable. This is exactly how you should be sitting." And they took a photograph of me and showed me. I was like, "That does not look comfortable." But
I'm a crisscross applesauce guy. I sit with my legs crossed, even if I'm on the couch.
oh
I'll sit
wow,
with
okay.
my legs crossed. It's what I find comfortable.
I don't even think I can do that. Like,
Yeah, it's
I'm
I don't know. It's just what's
so flexible.
yeah. Well, I guess. I used to work in a mattress store. I used to sell beds.
Okay.
So I know a lot about sleeping and sleep habits and what kind of a bed is good for you if you're on your side or on your back or on your face. So that's an interesting question to ask me.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I moved over to the whole memory foam cult, as it
Mm.
would be, and yeah, invested in that like pillow action. And
It
oh,
gets
it's
hot
been
though, the memory foam. It heats up.
it does, yeah. Like summer is a challenge when
Yeah.
you have the memory foam,
You need a
but
good latex foam. That stuff doesn't absorb the heat as much. And then you sleep a little
yeah,
cooler, but it still, contours to your shape.
I like that you've automatically gone into sales mode. Like,
Yeah. And for an extra $50, I'll throw in the slipcover.
is this how you sell zines? When you're a fair, you're just like, oh, come over here. You got to fold out pages, 28 pages of blah, blah, blah.
I've never actually tabled at a zine fair, and
Really?
probably for good reason because I would be that slimy guy. Oh, come on over here. This fits right in your pocket. You gotta have a pocket thoughts. Put it in your pocket. There you go, my friend. Oh, you like that one? It's location for me. I'm in Kingston, Ontario, and There's not a huge zine community here. The closest would be, Toronto or Montreal, either distance. And I'd like to go to CanZine in Toronto, but it's always like a scheduling thing
Mhm.
with me when I have my kids and versus when I don't have my kids. So sometimes it just, it's not meant to be. But in the new year, I'm actually looking at trying to, build a zine community within this town because it's a college town, a university town, and I feel like there's a good chance to meet some really cool creative people who might want to be doing this sort of thing and like to have a safe welcoming space to go to it. So I'm going to be getting in touch with the people who run the public libraries about getting some community space and setting up some regular times for that, because I think it'd just be cool to meet like-minded people.
Definitely. I've been to Kingston
Cool.
on zine related business.
Really.
Yeah, so I went to Canada in 2019. Took
Okay.
myself for a holiday. Was like gonna go do Canada. Decided to do Canzine in Ottawa.
Yep.
And what I did was I arrived in Toronto and then I drove my way up to Ottawa, but like hit every small town I could along the way. And Kingston was one of those small towns. And
All
I
right.
spent like a day just wandering around, seeing various little bits and being freezing because it was incredibly cold that day.
We're right on the water in the winter time. It's like today. It's bloody freezing outside. The wind is just chill to the bone. Hence, I got my Tucson indoors.
I mean, you can't see I'm rocking a blanket and there's like a hot water bottle under my feet because I'm out in New Jersey and yeah, it's getting
Yeah,
chilly, getting to that time
relatively
of
the
year.
same temperature in New Jersey as it is here. We've got very similar weather.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely I'd say like I find it shocking that you haven't seen like table even once, having considering you've been doing it since like 1988. But I would definitely recommend trying to get to an event or two.
Yeah, that's the plan. I think ultimately, what I hope to achieve with this like library community thing is to get enough people involved that we could start our own local
Hmm.
fair. But I'd love to get to like a bigger city one, Toronto or Ottawa for Canzine for sure.
Yeah, you're not started forcing your kids to do it yet.
Um, not my son has no interest. My son, all he wants, he's 8 years old. All he wants to do is play video games. My daughter, though, is very creative
Right.
and like better. She's 11 and she's a better artist than I was at 11, and she's a better artist than I was at 19. So the stuff that she shows me sometimes, she'll come home from school. She came home with this pumpkin that she did with just a mechanical pencil, and she's like,
Right.
"Hey, look what I did at school today." And I'm like, "The fuck, you did this at school today?" Like, oh my god, this is incredible. We have a little shop downtown here that sells local art
Right.
people stuff, and so they sell my zines there and everything. And I went in because it's run by an old high school art teacher of mine. So I was in there a few weeks ago just to drop off, some stock for them and everything. And I was like, "Oh yeah, here, take a look at this photo on my phone of what my daughter did." She was like, "Oh my god!" She looks at my daughter. She goes, "If you want to bring some of your work here to sell, you can bring some of your work here to sell." And she was like, you could tell she was a little embarrassed, but also like,
Yeah.
wow. And I'm the proud dad that's just like, there's my protege.
Of course. I also like having been to quite a few zine fairs. I always find kids are they're a great addition to a zine fair because so like in the UK, a lot of zine fairs are people like 16 to 20, 30. It's that kind of age bracket where it's people discovering themselves and people discovering politics for the first time and getting involved in everything they can in the DIY culture, which lends itself to teenagers.
They're learning their voice and they have something to say.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
that kind of vibe. So when you introduce a child to that, it's a really interesting like dynamic shift because you watch people not know what to do because they want
Mm,
to be themselves and they want to express themselves, and their instant impression is if you have a stranger, a child, or like someone who's older, is that they're going to be judged, whereas a kid doesn't care.
yeah.
Like they'll just sit there and most of the time they'll make a zine, and they'll have a line of people who will want to check out their zine because they're a child and you want to see what's going on in the head of a child. And
Yeah.
I always think it's just like one of these things where like you just throw it in there, see what happens.
Well, my daughter did make a zine, God, probably 3.5 years ago or so,
Mm.
just because she saw me doing it. And so we took a bunch of like drawings that she'd done and just made a like a zine about my family and my pets and things like that. And we sent it out to a few people. I think Rich from Feral Publication, I think he did a review of her zine on YouTube, which just like
Nice.
made her day to see that her zine was on YouTube. But she's super creative. There was 2 or 3 months ago, she was telling me about how dinosaurs had feathers, and
Hmm.
I didn't know this. I didn't. And so she's giving me all the facts and stuff. And at first, I'm like, dinosaurs didn't have feathers, and she's like, no, they did, Dad. I was reading about it. It's like, look, I want a report on my desk tomorrow all about dinosaurs having feathers. So I come home from work the next day, and the babysitter's like, Ryan, she's been hard at work for you all day long. And I go in a full on with drawings and graphs and everything. And she's just this whole thing about dinosaurs having feathers. And I'm like, but not like a report, but it was very zine-ish in the way that it
Yeah,
was presented. And I was just like, oh yeah, she's got some magic in her for sure. She's got some magic in her.
busting out infographics and like telling
Yeah,
you how it is.
yeah.
Yeah,
But the enthusiasm is so important, right? And that's what I think I love to see in zines is there's so many niche ideas,
mm,
right? And that's the great thing about zines is, there's a zine about everything, really, right? And when you're passionate about it, and you put that into it, it really comes across, and you can feel it through the paper from someone you've never met, never talked to, and you've just gotten it through the mail, right? And you open it up, and you feel that passion. Like that's really cool.
yeah. It's actually interesting you mentioned that. So I was just prior to coming online. So I got access to it's like Vivo 80s or something, some kind of music channel which plays 80s music videos constantly
Okay.
on. I don't know. So I was watching these music videos and text my friend and I just said to her, it would be great to have a YouTube channel which just reviews 80s music videos or 80s and 90s music videos because they're so unique. And when we did it all back and forth, which was this big great idea. However, YouTube copyright would take down everything you ever put up, so it's a fruitless idea. And we said, oh, you'd have to shift it to TikTok because that's the only place you can do kind of things like niche things like this.
Yeah.
Whereas what you said is we were like, well, that would lose all meaning because you'd be doing 30 seconds of things, you never get the full context. Whereas just like you're kind of saying, the amount of times I've seen fanzines about, random episode of Full House. I'm like, I've never even watched it, but there's like a 5-page essay about this thing. And I feel like, I don't know, there's so much more breathing room, but it's appreciated in a way which it wouldn't be online. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I buy random zines all the time, right? Like once a month I go on to Etsy and I just search zine and I look for 4 or 5 things that I've never seen before. And one of the coolest things that I ever got was this little mini zine that was just pictures of dinosaurs that somebody had put googly eyes on. And that's all it was dinosaurs with googly eyes. But did that make my day? Like just somebody thought to do that, you know? And maybe nobody else in the world needed dinosaurs with googly eyes, but I did that day.
Definitely. I still stand by the fact that the best scene I ever bought is called Flats in Hats. And it is tower blocks of apartments with hats photoshopped on top of the buildings. And it was 50 pence, and it is the best scene I've ever bought. And I can't beat it.
And it's all right in the name. Like a good catchy name goes a long way, right? It brings you in and all that stuff. Like when I made Halloweenies, when I made that zine, it's all just hot dog wieners in dressed up in slutty Halloween costumes, you know. And that was something that was in the shower, right? Where it's just like, oh, I want to do something for Halloween. What am I gonna do? Play on words, weenies, Halloweenies, and then just saying it is fun. Just saying Halloweenies out loud is fun to say.
Do you think there's like a high do you lean to like a high level of parody with your zines, do you find?
Um,
Or is it more homage? Or where's the line on that?
that's sometimes it's both.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's both. So to go back to like 11 Teen, for instance, that was straight satire.
Right.
But I wanted to do such a good job of the satire that I knocked on my neighbor's door a few doors down from me because she's an old friend of mine who we used to work together. And she's about 10 years younger than me, maybe 15 years younger than me. And I said, do you have any like Cosmopolitan magazines, these magazines that I could borrow? And she's like, sure. And I'm like, yeah, maybe like 5 or 10 of them, and and I spent a month reading them. So to get an idea of like, the tone and the feel. And when I read 11 Teen back now, knowing that it's satire,
Hmm.
sometimes I forget that it's satire because I really hit the tone of
Yeah.
those magazines, and I'm like, oh, geez, is this an homage or is it still like it's definitely satire because it's very much poking fun at the industry and fashion and beauty standards and all of that. Uh, you know, I think parody is good if it's tongue in cheek and it's fun and it's hitting the right notes. I think sometimes if you're just trying to catch the wave of a trend, I think it falls flat and what's the point?
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely like it when you discover something which is kind of parody or is satire, and it's so well done that you can't tell.
Yeah.
And it's only when you've kind of like flicked through it and then you look at like, who made it or what they're making outside of it, you're like, oh, actually, yeah, that might be more scathing than I originally thought it was. I think I remember actually when I think it was one of the first zines I did as a when I was no point I did an advert for like robotic limbs or something in like a technology issue, and it took like yourself. I spent ages kind of scouring adverts to see how this would look, what if this was real, how they would react to it, the wording they would use,
Yeah.
just to kind of yeah. It takes a lot of effort.
Well, and like 11 is another example of I was coming up on issue number 11 of
Hmm.
Pocket Thoughts, and I knew I just wanted to do something different than just number 11. So I was like, well, 11 is a funny sounding word because there's 11, 12, 13, 14, why isn't it 12 why isn't it 11? And then it kind of became, well, what's it going to be if it's 11 teen? 11 makes me think of 17, and 17 was a magazine, and it all kind of stemmed from there. And then it was like, well, I'll make a bunch of fake advertisements to put inside of this because most of those magazines, 60% of it is, perfume ads and makeup ads and all that. And I think I've got that one. Where is it? Yeah, so on 11 every so many pages, like there's an ad for like a face cream that's clearly melting your face off. Like it's not good to
Yeah,
be using this product, and here's a makeup one that's like fool even your toughest critics. And it's satire, but it's also like these could have been real ads
yeah,
in so where was the one for tampons? Yeah, there we go. A robotic woman who needs a stainless steel tampon. It's clearly satire, but it's also fun. Like it's okay to laugh at yourself, you know?
hmm. I feel like that kind of humor is very like there's a very specific generation that has that kind of humor.
Yeah, yeah. I
I don't
I
want to
think
say that
so.
it's our generation, but it seems to be like I don't see that now from like younger people, and I don't see it from older people.
Well, I think I'm gonna assume you and I are fairly similar in age. Like I'm 42
Okay,
and
I'm 33,
you're 33.
so
Okay.
yeah,
Well, that's we
yeah,
could have been in the same generation.
yeah,
Um, but when we were growing up, television was still very regulated in terms of what could be said on it. There wasn't like the internet was still very new for us as kids. I didn't even have a computer or the internet until the late 90s. I was 19, 20,
hmm,
had a computer in the home. And the internet was really only a thing in like 97 and on, 1997 and on. And so the idea of stuff being streamed, videos being streamed, and thoughts and ideas that we can constantly get to at any time. Uh, there's so much that's not taboo that we used to think was taboo,
hmm.
right? So you'd see all the old comedy shows and stuff that had to be on late at night because it had to be on after the kids were in bed and the things that you could say kind of slyly and I know what they're really saying, um, which I think there's not that censorship anymore. I mean, there's definitely censorship, but
Yeah,
it's not so incredibly regulated. Like you don't have to go out somewhere different to get a video cassette of a movie full of swearing because there's no swearing on TV. It's
yeah.
all very at our fingertips.
What's interesting with that is like they say there's less censorship now, but the things which were kind of, or at least from my view, because I'm so currently context helps if I give context. So I'm currently rewatching The Simpsons
Okay.
all the way through, and like you say, when it started, a lot of it was tongue in cheek. It was very raw. It was very parody. You know,
Mhm.
Simpsons was created because it was just a sitcom, but it was an unconventional sitcom. And it was very much that. Whereas it diluted over time, despite the fact that censorship was like left off. And it just
Yeah.
kind of gradually got more hallmarky. It got more, parody of itself and doesn't quite understand why it's still going, sort of thing. And I think it's interesting when you look at products and people who were popular at that time and how much they kind of diluted because they didn't have anything to rail against.
Yeah.
And it just kind of fell off. I don't.
Well, that's an interesting point too, because I remember The Simpsons being new. Like I
Mm,
remember watching season two new on TV, and other kids at my school weren't allowed, and we'd have to videotape it and sneak out and watch it and stuff. And it was Bart Simpson was bad, and he was a bad influence on us, and we shouldn't be watching that cartoon. And there was all of that at the time.
mm.
And now here we are, 30 some seasons of The Simpsons later, and I've been doing the same thing. I've been rewatching the entire series because my daughter is into it and she loves it. And I have no problem letting her watch The Simpsons, is the different thing, probably because I grew up through it.
Yeah.
But also, I never found anything harmful in there. Like, what's the worst thing that a kid is going to take away from watching The Simpsons, right? Like, really, nothing too terrible. And so it's funny the way the generation kind of changed
Yeah.
the times. But what I thought was interesting rewatching that show is I can remember being a kid and thinking Bart Simpson was the best part of the show.
Yeah.
He had the Don't Have a Cowman, and he was on all the clothes, and the show was really centered around him that first season or two, and then it became about Homer.
Hmm.
And as I became a teenager, all of us loved Homer. Homer was the our voice of the show, and he was so dumb and nitwitty, but loving and all at the same time. But watching it back now, the character that I relate to most is Lisa Simpson. Throughout the entire series as an adult, I'm like, wow, Lisa had it everything figured out the whole time.
Yeah, she's the most consistent character. Like she's not undergone changes in any
No,
way from the beginning. She's just like, yeah, she was smart, self-aware, keeps going, just keeps going. Whereas but like you say, yeah, when we were kids, he was the cool
yeah,
kid. Everyone wants to be that. He answers back to people of authority. He spray paints, he skateboards, he does everything the cool kid would want to do.
yeah.
And now you're like, oh, actually, he's also really dumb. He's not doing so well. But it's interesting
But
you mentioned,
I think also them showing the future sometimes, like you see who
yeah,
Bart grows up to be, right? And if he was your hero, like if you were a little boy who idolized Bart Simpson, and for them to show you what he grows up to be, it's kind of a downer.
yeah, yeah. There's that great episode where they, I think South Park covered it. There's like this, they did like a two-part where it was about like think getting banned and getting censored and stuff like that, and they run into Bart Simpson in their world, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And and the Cartman asked him like, "What's the worst thing you ever did?" And he says something like, "Oh, I spray painted this on stage." And Cartman's like, "Yeah, I made someone eat their parents." And it's like standard for badass has changed
Yeah.
so dramatically.
Yeah. And like South Park is a good example of what we were talking about. Like that used to be on at 11 o'clock at night, 11:30 at night. It was my last year of high school when that show really started to gain momentum. And we used to all hang out at a buddy's place on, was it Friday night or Saturday night to watch that, having a few beers and stuff. And it was an event
Yeah,
to get everybody together to watch South Park because we knew that it was just bad enough that like we could wear the t-shirt and get away with it,
yeah.
but also if we got caught in the halls doing the cow's man's a big fat fucking bitch, we knew we'd get in trouble for it.
Yes, yes, definitely. I think it's very much generational as well because I vividly remember my mum telling me that she couldn't watch the Muppets as a
Oh,
kid
Yeah.
So this was like, like 60s, like that kind of era. And my grandparents were like, "No, you don't watch the Muppets. That's. I mean, she comes from a Catholic background, but there's a level of like, don't watch the Muppets. It's too risky. It's too." And I'm like, that's. I try to think of things which I wasn't allowed to watch, and it's
The Muppets
limited.
saturated over time too. Like if you
Mm,
think, like I think the first Muppet show before it was the Muppet Show, their first special was called Sex and Violence.
yeah.
Yeah, and so if you look at Sex and Violence and juxtapose that with the Michael Caine Muppets Christmas Carol, like it's two very different Muppets. And I think we have in our mind nowadays the image of the Michael Caine Muppets Christmas Carol as being what the Muppets is,
Hmm.
uh, kind of in a broad stroke of it all. Whereas, to me, it's still the Muppet Show.
Definitely. I think it's interesting. Like, I guess looking at the idea of things being kind of long running and they do get watered down. I think another example of that is Die Hard. So they like
Yeah,
the Die Hard films obviously started off quite violent, kind of bloody, and then like one of them like they even cut like the motherfucker from it because they were just like that's we need to keep the 12 rating so we can get the kid to watch it. And I don't know, it's I feel like you have to go one way or the other. You have to either try to top how bad you were, or you have to lower that because new generation's going to keep coming along
yeah,
and you can't be as violent with the new generation, even though there's less censorship.
yeah.
It's
But
like
it's I was writing a piece for my new zine for Pocket Thoughts 23 about swearing.
Mhm.
And I was thinking the other day, I was like, I think we need some new swear words. I think we need new curse words because fuck doesn't cut it anymore and shit doesn't cut it anymore. And like, who are we offending with this anymore? Swearing was supposed to be about putting someone off edge,
Mhm.
getting a little attention, making yourself heard. And now, it's, fuck shit, piss, everything all the time. Cunt still stands strong. I think,
Yeah,
cunt still got a lot of time left in it. Good for you, cunt. But kids say fuck, kids say piss, kids say shit. They say goddamn. And it's not like when we were, we'd get slapped for that when we were kids. We'd be grounded for that. We'd have our mouths washed out with soap for that. And so I was thinking that, the new generation needs to come up with some new swear words that you won't like and I won't like because we're the old guys now.
yes.
And in order for them to be effective, we have to not like them. Because if we're okay with it, then they're not good enough.
I feel like it's going to take a lot to make us not like it though. Like the language young people use, the main stuff I don't like is where they're being tongue in cheek and they're like, "Oh, it's all Gucci," and I'm like, I hate that. Like, please
Yeah,
don't say that. That's the worst thing to say in the world. Why are you doing that to each other? But yeah, it's very much like it's just abbreviations of words. I've noticed that a lot. Like language is adjusting to the point where they don't make up like we used to make up words.
yeah,
Like we'd pick a word and they'd be like, we're just going to adapt this, and this is going to be the new word for whatever. Getting bogeyed. You're like, yeah, that's a thing, right? That's going to happen. The new generation don't do that. They just abbreviate every word and they just replace it. Oh, they replace it with like a brand. I've noticed as well. That's the other thing. Of like they'll take a brand and they'll say, "Oh, this is this," and like Gucci. I'm like, "Oh, this is now a thing," and I'm like, I don't understand this. I'm not too sure about it. Maybe I'm too
yeah.
old.
Well, words are funny. Like language is funny, just the way that it changes over time and the way we use words for different things. I was hanging out with a friend of mine. We were playing cards one night, and he referred to this girl he knew as sexy.
Right,
And sexy is a very common word. Um, but I feel very uncomfortable referring to a person as sexy. It just
right.
feels weird coming out of my mouth to be like, oh, hey, look at her. She's sexy. You know what I mean? It just feels weird. But I can see a car and go, oh, that car is sexy, and have no problem saying it. And I think it's funny. Language is funny.
See, that's interesting because to me, sexy's lost all meaning. Like I use it for like platonic friends. I'd be like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, my friend Bray's sexy. He knows it. I know it. It's almost like just an encouragement word now.
Hmm.
Whereas if I was to say he was seductive, it'd be a whole different thing. Like,
Yeah.
hmm, hmm.
Yeah, seductive lends a little more to something else. It's a little more hey.
Yeah. Well, I can't remember which word it was. Someone said, oh, it was I think it was the first time someone said lit, and like, oh, this
Oh,
person's lit, and I was like, I'm gonna need someone to come here who's younger than me and just explain this to me because I'm not following. Like, I do not get it. And I don't know
I
if it's good or bad.
having kids is neat because you got to try and keep up a little bit, or you'll fall
Mhm.
behind real fast. But also, they're not quite teenagers yet, no matter what my daughter may think she is. Um, so that they haven't quite got to that teen slang, which is going to be different by the time she gets to it anyway, I'm sure.
Mhm.
Uh, but but the amount of times I hear a sentence start with, "So I saw on TikTok." Oh, I saw. Did you see
Right.
on TikTok? Oh, I saw TikTok the other day, and uh, like to have that is such a verbose thing of we're starting conversations with, oh, did you see on TikTok? TikTok is only like what, 3 years old, 4 years old, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Something like that. Like, it's one of those things that like people complain a lot about like that kind of thing. Like it's like, oh, did you see on Facebook? Did you see on Instagram? Or if you got Instagram, and they get really, I don't know, tactically like angry about it. Like, oh, it's just, kids are always online, they're always on these things, and
Mm.
like, hang on a minute, right? When we were kids, all we ever said was like, "Oh, you see that thing on TV? Did you check that
Yeah.
thing on MTV? Did you read Kerrang?" It was like, it's all exactly the same thing. It's just a different brand. Why are you so like beat up about this that they're consuming things?
Well, and MTV was pretty new still.
Mhm.
You know,
There's still
and
music on MTV. Like,
is there still music on
I don't
MTV?
think there's
I
music on
don't think
MTV.
there is. I don't think. And music videos used like to go back to what you were saying about those old music videos. They were like mini movies. Like the old music videos from the late '80s, early '90s, especially. Like when you go back and watch like November Rain,
Mhm.
the Guns N' Roses one, or Thriller, which was essentially a movie. Um, but even some of the 3.5 top 40 hits, 3.5 minute long top 40 hits. The videos for that, they would stretch the songs out
Yeah.
sometimes, looping choruses so that they could make the videos longer. Uh, and some of those videos are, what was it? The Aerosmith Janie's Got a Gun is
Mhm.
directed by David Fincher. Like, some of these are works of art, these videos.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, so the thing which I've noticed, and I've come up with a line for it, is that 80s music videos, they're fantastic. There's no denying them, all of them. I won't hear any arguments. They're all amazing. But they're rife with their amazing concepts, but they have the worst acting and cinematography. Like it's very obvious that they've discovered video cameras in the 80s
Yeah.
because it's like you have all the ideas, but everything looks like a student film. And it doesn't quite land when you've seen like now, like I mean, like we were saying about TikTok. Now you get people who make cinema quality things on their phone, and
Hmm.
they're used to doing that. They're used to having that as the standard. So anything less isn't good enough. So they keep trying, which is great. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, in the 80s, it didn't matter. You just throw on a flat bulb light and away you go.
But to loop it all around, right? When music video was new and starting out, like videotape was a new concept, and exploring what you can and can't do with that and the limitations is very much like someone making zines for the first time. So I think that's why there's still so much love for '80s music videos when people watch them back. Is you can some of them are fucking hokey as hell, and that's some of the allure is that
Mm-hmm.
you feel the passion that people are putting into just trying to make the most of what they can with the limitations that they've got. And they never knew at the time that we'd still have access to it 40 years later, right?
Yes.
And and how the video itself would degrade
Mm-hmm.
or not upscale well. Like upscaling wasn't a word in the 80s. Like there was no such
Yeah.
thing as upscaling. So the idea that these things that were filmed on essentially video cassettes and transferred through TV tape are now being digitized, and of course they look cheap and great because that's how they were made.
Exactly. I think it's interesting. from that kind of point of view to think about zines in that kind of capacity. If like I swear I read an article like every year about like, oh, zines are dying, nobody's doing zines anymore. Oh, zines are back. It's suddenly trendy to make zines. And I'm like, it's almost like cyclical with it, that it's going to be this medium which kind of keeps staying and keeps going because people are just going to keep trying to reinvent it. And
Yeah,
it's because it can't change. Like there's no way to change it from what it is because it is such a simple idea of like produce a booklet, produce even if it's digital, just produce a booklet. And like you say, like videos changed over time, technology's changed over time. But even if printing gets better and you know graphics tablets get better, it's still very basic. It's
yeah.
like just a simple way of making something.
And isn't that the allure of it? Like, you don't have to be a professional writer
Mhm.
to write a zine. You don't have to be a professional artist to make a zine. All you have to do is have an idea and the want to do it. You don't even have to know how to fold the paper or staple it together or whatever. You just have to get it down. And it's so many of us had that moment where we were making something and someone said, "Oh, hey, I really like your zine."
Mm-hmm.
And we went, "What's a zine?" And we didn't know we were making zines until someone told us what we were already doing. And I think it's always going to be around because there's always going to be people who want to just make and create, and then that discovery piece of, oh, what I'm doing is actually part of something else. Is zines are community. It's always community.
You think with zines sometimes people see them as like permission, right? So like when like people don't create all the time, and some people don't naturally create because they're just not had the will to, sort of thing. But when I find when people encounter zines, they almost see it as like, oh, this is permission for me to make something. Like this, it means it's okay if it's bad.
Yeah, yeah. I'll give you a good story. Permission to share is what I think
Right.
when you say permission. So a couple years ago, the summer camp that my kids were at, they knew that I do art and stuff, and they asked me to come by for an hour one day and teach the kids how to make zines
Mm-hmm.
because they knew that I made that. And I was like, yeah, of course I would. So, I teach them how to, fold a 6 pager and all this, and you can do whatever you want with it and blah 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 blah. There's like 30 kids, and some of them are, doing little drawings, and it's cute and it's fun and everything. And then when it came, we were done, I was like, does anybody want to share what they've made? And of course, everybody's kind of quiet. And one, oh, this is my favorite Avengers. Okay, oh, that's great. Oh, these are flowers and bugs, and okay, that's great. But then this one kid, he had to be about 11 or 12 years old. He stood up and he read all about his mom had passed away a couple years ago. And the fact that he felt so comfortable there to write that down and then to
Mm-hmm.
share that, like we were all kind of like, oh, at first, like, what have we got ourselves into? But then it was like, oh my God, this is safe for him. This is comfortable for him. This is great. Like
Yeah.
this kid's letting something out.
Yeah, definitely. I think there is like a weird power to it, which
Yeah.
I've only seen it maybe of like a few times of like different mediums sort of thing. So like I guess the other example would be when blogging was like first a thing, and it was like
Mhm.
you can have an online blog and it's basically a diary, and people would just pour themselves into it because they were like, that's the done thing now. You just go online and you give your entire life story every single day.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's incredible. The fact that you A want to do that and B are like, I'm doing it. This is everything I've ever done. And yeah, again, kind of just like general like painting. It's like
Mm.
people struggle with painting so much because they sit and they look at it and they go, it has to be perfect. It has to look like, Rembrandt. It has to do all that kind of thing. And then you lean over and you're like, actually, it can be abstract. And it doesn't matter if it doesn't look like the thing that it's meant to look like. And their brain goes, oh, well, in that case. And then you just get masterpieces. Like,
Yeah. As as artists go, like we all struggle through that. Like when we're first learning, and oh, my stuff doesn't look like the people that I look up to and idolize. And drawing, comics for so long and everything in zines, growing up on those early DC comics and stuff as a kid, and oh God, my stuff doesn't look like that.
Mhm.
It must not be good. It doesn't look like that, and I think people get caught up in that and forget that there's value in just what they're creating and making. But the idea of a daily journal, I think everybody should keep a journal. And whether or not it's just an old fashioned journal that you write in a little bit every day, or what's great about zines is you can almost treat them like a journal. Because when I go back and look at zines that I've made from the past,
Mhm.
I can start to pinpoint parts of my life that were happening based on what I'm writing about, what I've drawn, what I've, talking about, what was on my mind at the time. And, when I'm 80 years old and this isn't so good no more, I'm glad I've got a lot of content that's been written down that I can look back on and go, oh, geez, I had a pretty good life. I, I,
Yeah.
I did some neat stuff.
It's a high level of constant catharsis. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. More people should be doing it.
Yeah. And when people ask why I do, I don't know why. I don't know what else I would do. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm so locked in it now that I couldn't see myself not making zines.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always side projects like the behind the zines chat show I do with Craig
Mm-hmm.
is a wonderful time because we get to meet so many cool people, but scheduling is a bitch and editing is terrible. And so oftentimes we get real gung ho about it and we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And then, we'll schedule a guest and they have to reschedule or back out for whatever reason. And we're going to try this. And then, that doesn't line up. And it's like, there goes our momentum and we feel like we're failing, right?
Yeah.
But zines are always there because no matter what, it's my own thing, and no one tells me what to write, no one tells me what to draw. I don't have any corporate bosses to answer to and advertisers that are going to say you can't say that, you can't put that in there. And so I've got total freedom to do what I want. I do have to self-censor to make sure that I'm not going too far
Yeah.
over the edge. I think that's important to.
Self-awareness is important when creating. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay to piss people off, but you want to piss off the right
The right people. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's a great point to end on.
yeah. It's very okay to piss people off as long as you've got the right intentions to piss them off.
Definitely, definitely. Okay, so I now have a question for the end because
Okay.
we rounded ourselves to the end. Who should come on this show next?
Oh,
And bear in mind, it can be anyone. I will attempt to contact them, whoever they are.
geez. I'm gonna try and think of someone that I haven't actually interviewed
Okay.
because like I've interviewed a bunch of people. Like my first thoughts are like, there's a few, and then I'm like, oh, but I've talked their ear off already. Who would I want to see on your show?
That's the question.
That is a good question. Um, you know who I think is a
So much deep thought going on right now.
I know it should be right on the tip of my tongue. You know who I really wanted to interview for Behind the Zines, but it hasn't happened, and I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
it just hasn't happened yet, or maybe they don't want to. Um, Her name is Paige, and
Okay.
she does Riot Girl zines, and her Instagram handle is My Name is Mud, and I think she is so cool. I think her zines are amazing. I think they've got a fantastic message, and she goes out to rallies, for abortion rights and reproductive rights. And there's a lot of that in her zines. I think they're very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I get one of hers in the mail, I'm like putting down everything else to read this right away because I think that they're just fantastic. So if you can interview her, I will watch it, and I'll be jealous that you got to interview her before me.
That just sounds like a challenge now, but I will try my
Yeah,
damnedest. I will try my damnedest. I said to myself this year, because that was the question I wanted to end on. With every single guest, I'm going to try and end on the question, make it kind of like a chain letter. And I was
yeah,
like, if I get people who are recommended by the people which I wanted to speak to anyway, they're going to be good people.
Mm.
And that was my view. So I will
Yeah,
try.
she's I think her zine is called Punk Bubblegum.
Right.
Uh, it's really cool, and it's got a lot of passion behind it. And for a young person, I think they're either towards the end of high school or just graduated high school in age
Right.
range, and to have that much drive and it's like you just want to root someone like that on and support them and be like, oh, I want to see you shoot for the moon
Yeah.
because I think you got something.
Do the best that we can to push them forward.
Absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
we're running out of steam. We're getting to that age.
We are, and I think that's kind of a lot of what Craig and I wanted to do with Behind the Zines was,
Mm-hmm.
Give people a place to talk about what they're doing and to mostly show it off, because we always say that you could be the greatest artist or the greatest singer or the next important doctor in the world. Somewhere out there is the best future light shining of something, but unless you know how to like market yourself and get yourself out there, no one's ever going to know you, right? So we love the idea of, hey, you're making something, let's just show it off. And I've got my yearly Pocket Thoughts annual coming out in January. It's a collab zine where I invite different zine makers from around the world to contribute one page of whatever, to showcase for them. And everybody involved is a part owner of the zine, so everybody gets a master copy of it that they can print as many copies of as they want, so that they can either give them away, trade them, sell them, whatever they want to do with. It's part theirs to do as they please, because it's really just us showcasing each other off to the rest of the world. Like, let's just spread out, who we are, what we do. Maybe people will want to see more of our stuff, or more importantly, maybe someone will go, hey, I think I can do this too. I want to give this a try.
Definitely. I think that's a great thing you do. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks so much for having me on.
It's been fantastic to speak to you, catch up about the world and the zines and all the things which are going on since the 80s.
Well, if you're ever going to pop by through Kingston again, let me know, and we'll grab a pint.
I'm definitely planning on coming back to Canada at some point, especially since I moved, because flights now would be incredibly cheap. So
yeah, you could probably drive from Jersey in 3 or 4 hours. Yeah,
I can figure that out. But yeah, thank you for coming on. If people want to check you out, where should they check you out?
My shop is pocketthoughts.etsy.com. I am on Instagram as my name is Ryan with underscores in between. I don't know why I picked that handle. It's been so long. I'm not changing it now. Facebook is just Pocket Thought Zine, and YouTube is, I believe, Pocket Thought Zines.
Nice and simple.
Yeah.
Nice and simple. On that note, we'll bring it to an end. Thank you very much, Rob.
Thank you.
Talk to these guys later. Bye.
For sure.